rising from the flames, if the flames were the misery of existence. Welcome to Storylords, the prompt-based fiction podcast with 2 prompts, 3 stories, and infinite laughter. I'm Rich Masters. With me, as always, it's Jeff Pennington.
Shit's bad, man.
And Josh Henderson.
Yeah, I didn't even have anything to say, because that's it. I like how we bring them in real nice and slow on the misery.
Yep. But then we make it better with 3 good stories about butts.
Let's have fun.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves on the vis-a-vis the goodness of this.
At least one good, half a good story, maybe.
Not mine.
This week, our prompts were Signposts and Underworld.
Not the movie starring Kate Beckinsale.
Sadly not.
No. Speaking of big butts, does she have a big butt? No.
No.
She's British. Rich, does she have a big butt?
I mean, in Underworld promotion, but then they manipulate butts like they did with Bryce Dallas Howard in because her butt was too big and they thought it was going to overshadow the dinosaurs.
It's fucking inconclusive information right now on Google.
I thought you were going to say unconstitutional.
Yeah. I did some research and then I had a stroke when I was trying to tell you about it. But this I can't say words. It's good for a podcast. Inconclusive information here vis-a-vis Kate Beckinsale's ass size.
Yeah, I don't think it's that big.
No, it's small in some pictures and sizable in others. I don't understand.
Okay. She's no Bryce Dallas Howard.
No, but then few are.
Not at all.
Few are. She doesn't have her own gravitational pull.
That's my favorite part of Jurassic Park, when Dr. Grant pulls up and pulls his glasses down. He says, "She does twerk in herds."
He looks directly at the camera and says, "That thing do be thangin'."
Oh, man.
Oh, fuck.
Right.
All right.
Josh is up first this week. Josh, the world is horrible. Make it better, please.
Oh, okay.
It's all on your shoulders now, buddy.
It's all on you, man.
Yay! Glad I woke up today. My story this week is called The QUNT.
The cunt?
Shh. Not even a dog would lick this off the floor, Squib scolded Sandals as she retched out the remnants of another hairball. How can someone who can turn into a legendary sword have this much hair inside of them? You disgust me, he said, sniffing the air.
This feels like it was maybe inspired by real-life events.
Black! Actually, that doesn't smell too bad.
Oh.
But before he could finish, Buffcat was already zooming his way into Squib's private cave quarters on all fours. Meow, meow, yoink, he said as he slurped up the... Buffcat, ew, Demi said as she followed him into Squib's cave room. Yeah, Buffcat, Squib piled on. I was going to eat that.
This is a bad episode. I don't like this.
Jelly was now out of Demi's satchel, taking up position right next to Sandals, as he too was now retching up something. After a few seconds, Jelly hooked up a key and a ring with a skeletal hand still attached to it. Mew, 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 Buffcat said with a chuckle. I'll kill you! Screamed Squib as he lunged toward Buffcat. Hey, guys, shh, Demi scolded. Ugla is trying to do magic stuff and I think find out how we can get out of here, or at least I think she is. The gang peered out from behind a stained sheet Squib was using for a privacy curtain and saw Ugla sitting in the main cave area, which they called the den.
Nice.
Because it's a cave.
Yep.
She was hovering above the ground, monk-like, with zitting magical sprites and sparks flying out every so often. Oh, yeah, I've been using her to make my popcorn, Squib said as he unpacked a Jiffy Pop and held it over Ugla's head. After a few seconds, the popcorn kernels began to pop and cover her head in buttery goodness. Is that safe? Demi asked. Sure, why wouldn't it be? Squib said as a single trickle of blood dripped from his pointy nose. Fuck, this sucks! sucks, Ugla finally said, awaking from her meditative state. I can't find a single essence of magic in this shithole piece of sweaty, used-ass tampon of a realm. Squid slowly backed away, but reached out to grab one more piece of popcorn. It's okay, Ugg, Demi said, patting her on the popcorn-laden head. We'll figure it out. Besides, I'm from here, and this place isn't too bad once you get used to it. Just then, outside the cave, a bone vulture swooped down to pick up a Skeleman who had died a long time ago. Why? He screamed as the bird screeched and took him over the horizon. We're the same, you and me! His voice faded out as an eerie reminder that everything here did indeed suck harder than your mama did last night. Hell... A voice from Ugla's Aussie ball tried to break through. The wise!
Oh no.
Ugla quickly scooted over and grabbed the Aussie ball and held it above her head like she was trying to get a signal. Yeah, that'll do it. That's totally been the problem the whole time, Squib said, rolling his eyes. Finally, the image of a familiar wizard shone through in all its blue magical splendor. Make it quick, I have Neru massage in 20, Reese said, totally serious without any shame. You called me, Ugla screamed. Yes, but you've been throwing off magical energy so vibrantly and spicy that I thought my entire body got magical chlamydia. Again, Reese said, scratching his neck. You sent us to the wrong time zone, place, thing, Ugla shouted. Did I? Reese said, wryly with a wink. Yes, all of them said in unison. It's like a great wizard once said. Reese cleared his throat. A wizard never makes mistakes. He pretend he never did, and when everything works out in the end, takes credit for everything by pretending everything he did was on purpose, kind of like the end of Ocean's 13.
I think Merlin said that one.
I'm pretty sure Reese said that.
Yeah. Is that the one with the painting, Demi asked? Ew, no, that's 12, and we do not speak of that one in this cave, young lady, Reese said, pointing down at Demi. We fucking saw you. You were wearing a stupid fake beard and pointed us in this direction. You're telling me that was for a reason and that we're supposed to be trudging through this wasteland for weeks on end until the end of the season, Ugla yelled? First of all, that handsome fellow whose personage is wholly his own property and who gets their own union day rate per appearance is not me. Even though we both shared classically handsome wizard qualities, Reese said, voguing for the all-see camera. And second of all, this person who is an entirely different entity as far as the government and wizard social security are concerned. Sounds like a really handsome and smart and big-dicked having genius of a person who you should listen to. Reese's finished with a too legit to quit hand gesture.
Fuck yeah.
Ugla moved to throw the all-see ball out the cave. Wait, Reese said, interrupting her. There is a device that can send you back and forth and back and forth and back again. Why haven't I felt its magical essence then? Ugla questioned, with her hand on her hip all sassy-like. Because the cave-humping mongoloids who live in this time don't even know how to use deodorant, let alone how to turn on a highly sophisticated magical device. Go on, Ugla said, still skeptical. Just keep heading west. You will be close enough to its presence to feel its essence once it's turned on. Kind of like my ex-wife, Reese said as crickets chirped somehow. Am I right, guys? And the one cat who I think is a guy? Eh? The crickets got louder. But be careful, Reese warned. There is another who seeks the power to traverse time. Reese began to make squiggly lines with his hands and fading out like Yoda from dramatic effect. Meanwhile, in the west, Gunk and Axewound were still traversing their own hellish landscape, and I don't mean their relationship. Am I right, guys? Guys?
Crickets chirp.
How are you feeling? Gunk asked. The same as the last 40 times you asked, Gunk, Axwoon said. She adjusted a makeshift hood over her mouth to keep the dust out. She grabbed her hand and tried to make a rune, but it only sparked and fizzled out. She gripped her hand and rubbed it. Sorry, I just... Gunk shrugged as he sensed Axwoon rolling her eyes at him. Shit! He screamed the top half of a Skeleman as he fell from the sky. With a smack. Above them, a bone vulture cawed and flew off. That doesn't even make any sense, he said as he looked up at the featherless, meatless bird flying away somehow. Axwoon looked down at the half-mangled Skeleman as she kicked his ribcage. Hey, stop! That tickles, it said as she wiped her boot in the sand. What happened to you? Gunk said, picking up the Skeleman and dusting off his bones. I was simply taking my morning crawl over east yonder when a bone vulture picked my ass up, called me a hard sea slur, and dragged me out this way, and then just dropped my ass in front of you two, the Skeleman chattered. Cunt? Axwoon questioned. Excuse me? The Skeleman said, clutching his pearls. Was the hard sea slur he called you cunt? She clarified. Oh, no, he called me... The Skeleman leaned in closer and held his bony hand to his jaw as if to whisper, a crackler. As he adjusted his head onto his spine and spun it around as if to screw it back in place.
Jesus. That'll get you banned from Twitter nowadays.
Yeah, we can't. Now, if you just point me west, I shall be off a-crawling back to my people, the Skeleman said with gusto. People? Gunk mumbled. Oh, yes, we're a like-minded group of Skeleman and Skelewomen who have found solace in worshipping our Lord and Savior. Cunt. You just got offended when I thought I called you that, and now you say you worship a cunt, Axwoon prodded. I thought you were taking our Lord's name in vain, the skeleton reasoned, and that you were implying his name was a slur. Take us to this place, Axwoon demanded. Gunk cleared his throat. What the lady means is we would love to learn more about this lord of yours and possibly drink some water and maybe eat something not made out of bones. My name is Gunk, and this is Axel Foley, Axwoon interrupted, as she gave Gunk a stern look. Yes, famous Beverly Hills crime fighter and black comedy movie star from the 80s, Axel Foley. Gunk squinted at Axwoon. She made the go-with-it face. Nice to meet you two. The name's Norm. Norm Halfman, the Skeleman said, holding out his bony hand for shaking. Gunk shook the hand gingerly and then placed it back down at Norm's side. Now, if we just head over to this signpost that I just saw now for no reason, we can get our bearings, Norm said, slowly dragging himself through the sand. He said with each painfully slow pull of his torso through the earth. Yeah, I'm just gonna carry you if that's okay, Gunk said, picking up the Skeleman and C-3POing him onto his back. Soon they reached a single misplaced signpost in the middle of literally nowhere. On it were many different directional indicators pointing to many locations, like those funny signposts you see in a tiki bar that say, like, Hong Kong, 12,467 miles, or London, 3 billion AU, or whatever measurement those fucks use. But on this sign were names like Doomsburg, and Analton, and Shitty Analton.
Ugh. Shitty Analton has really gone downhill.
Yeah, since they got that, they replaced all the good coffee shops with Starbucks.
Yeah. That's why they call it Analton. Once you get to Analton, we're on the right path, but don't go too far or you'll wind up in Shitty Analton, Norm began to explain like a boomer. And you don't want to end up there after dark, let me tell you. Good thing I lost my entire ass, am I right? He said, slapping Gunk on the back. Soon after not going too far past Analton, they reached yet another cave. Is this place just fucking caves? Axwoon complained. Isn't it great? Norm said, smiling. Smiling? Yeah. As As they entered the dark, wet cave, Axoon had to test a few footholds in her 6-inch heels. Gunk lit a torch that was made out of a leg bone. Remind me to thank Jerome for his leg torch when I see him, Norm whispered to Gunk. Finally, after hours of descending into some kind of underworld...
Ding.
The three made it to an entirely open cavern with pillars as big as my totally real giant peener.
Wow.
Whoa, Gunk said as he looked up, admiring the architecture like a true Dwarven stereotype. Sup, guys? Norm shouted. Norm! Shouted a literal horde of Skeleman. There were Skeleman, Skelewomen, Skeledogs, Skelemonks, and even a few Skelecats. But on the wall was a sign with a Ghostbuster circle and line that said, "No Skelevultures."
Damn.
Understandable.
No wonder the Skelevulture kidnapped him.
They're not allowed in the club. Oh, I see you've made some new friends, Jerome the Skeleman said, addressing Gunk and Axwound. Are they here to pray to the Almighty? Yes, this is Gunk and Axel Foley said. Axel Foley, Norm said, mixing up the two names and pointing to the wrong person. Hard pass, Axwound said bluntly. Sweetheart, Gunk gritted his teeth. It wouldn't hurt to pay our respects. After all, Norm here promised us water, didn't you, Norm? Oh, yes, that's right over here. It's right over there. You can drink as much cave juice as you can, Norm said, pointing to a brackish, still water ravine filled with dead animals. Harder pass, Axwound said, grimacing. I've drunk worse, Gunk said, pouring himself a mug of cave juice. Axwound felt a chill down her spine. Her magic still wasn't up to speed after all she had been through. Even eating the delicious pirate cheese didn't restore all of her mana. She was not used to such weakness. It disgusted her. She was the queen after all. Worship me, show me them titties, she heard a whisper on the wind. What the hell? She turned to Gunk and punched him in the shoulder. Ow, what the fuck, my cave juice, he said, trying not to spill the rancid water. It wasn't him, you dumb biatch. It was me. Axwound heard again faintly. She turned to look down a long, dark cavern hallway. She squinted to adjust her eyes as she saw a faint glowing red thrum. Ah, I see. You are ready to see our lord, Jerome said, ushering her and Gunk down the dark cavern. In the darkness behind a large pillar, a hooded figure stood and slinked back into the dark, as to not be seen by Axwound and Gunk. They reached their cloaked hand up and adjusted their hood as they stealthily made their way through the pitch blackness and followed the two guests. As Gunk and Axwound entered the most holy of holies, Skeleman and Skelewomen were on their knees praying and chanting in weird skeletal chatterings. Some were having an orgy on the rocks and dirt, which are like pillows for skeletons. The fervor of the worshipping was in tune with the thrumming and humming of the giant red orb up on the pillar. It was mounted inside of it like a gemstone. How are these skeletons fucking? Gunk asked aloud.
That was my question.
Like, what's going into what, you know? He turned to Axwound, who was transfixed on the subject. Ax, I said, you know? He nudged her. She wasn't paying attention to him or anyone as a great slitted eye rolled into view from left to right on the orb. It stared at Axwound as if it knew her. The Skeleman all bowed and prayed even harder, or whatever it is people in a cult do. I mean religion.
What's the difference?
Am I right?
Fuck you, everyone who thinks things that I don't think.
Yeah. You're different and wrong. They began to fawn over Axwound as the orb lifted her body up and covered it in a red haze. The haze solidified and transformed into a giant red cloak that kind of looked like a fruit roll-up.
Ooh, I like this.
Ooh, this is relatable. Ugla snapped awake. We have to move, she shouted as she kicked sand into the open fire they made out in the desert. 69 more minutes, Mom, Squib said as he rolled back onto his other side. Get up! She kicked him twice for each word. Fuck, fine, I'm up, he yelled, rubbing sleep from his eyes. Mew mew! Buffcat was already packed and ready to go. Demi was close behind him. She shooed Jelly into her pack and strapped it and her sword to her back. Over there! Ugla shouted as she pointed to a cave entrance. We should have never taken that detour through shitty Analton, Squib said, rubbing his butt. Wait for me, he shouted as the rest of the group were already nearing the cave entrance. She's the one, shouted a Skeleman mid-orgasm. She has the sight, another Skelewoman said as she knelt down and kissed Axwoon's feet. This is getting hot, Gunk said, as he was probably totally into feet. Just then, 4 ancient runes replaced the eye, ancient dwarvish runes. Hey, I know those, Gunk said, still thinking about feet, kind of.
It's autobiographical comic from Josh.
Axwood was still entranced. Her eyes slid back into her head as only the whites of them could be seen as she arched her back and stared straight up at the cavern ceiling. As she floated, Skeleman praised her and bowed reverently. My ancient dwarf is pretty rusty, but I think it says Q-U-N-T, Gunk spelled out. Just then, more ancient runes began to sprawl across the orb. Quantum Unit Network Teleporter, Gunk read out loud.
Fucking love an acronym.
Oh, dip, it's the thing we need, he shouted. Axe, wake up, it's the thing. Not so fast, you raging necro cunt, shouted Ugla as the thrum of the device stopped and dropped Axwoon to the floor. She superhero knelt there as steam rose from her body, which was now draped in a new red leather outfit, even sexier than her last black one.
Shit.
If it isn't the bearded bitch, Axwoon said bitterly as she rose to her feet. Mew, Buffhead said as he snicked his claws out and waved his mace tail menacingly. I have been recharged and maybe reborn, Axwoon shouted as a deafening echo reverberated through everyone in the cavern. It's her, a Skeleman shouted. The Gold One's champion! Yes, it is me, Queen Axwoon! She flung her arms out as if bathing in adoration. Get these piss ants out of my sight, she shouted. Just then, every Skeleman and woman in the cavern gathered up like a crackling zombie horde.
Wow, he used the slur.
I can't believe it.
No. Some were using their own leg bones as baseball bats and doing that thing where you hit the bat against your hand to look tough. Others were filing their finger bones into pointy, stabby finger bones. And yet others were just growling and being weird because that's what living in a cave does to you.
Mm-hmm. Or just natural life.
Yeah. Yeah, the cave of life. Buffcat was already on the attack. He smashed several Skeleman's skull with his tail whip move that he learned from Pokemon Blue. Demi was sneaking around on the floor. She looked up and saw a red glowing orb pulsating with more and more power. She deftly snuck past some leg bones and rolled behind a rock. She peered upward to see the eye had returned and was searching. Squib was firing off arrow after arrow. He had gotten pretty good at using Farm Boy's old bow. He cracked an arrow. Farm Boy! He cracked an arrow right through a Skeleman's eye socket, knocking his head clean off. As it hit the ground, he simply said, "Oh, great, a little help here?" But nobody cared about him because he actually sucked and was a bad friend to most people.
Wow, that's the worst thing you've ever said about someone.
Let that be a lesson to you listeners.
Don't be a bad friend.
You're gonna get your head knocked off. Ugla fired a blue lightning bolt right at Axwoon. Axwoon held out her hand expecting to easily block the bolt, but instead it crackled into several directions and struck her sides. Fucking snap, crackle, bitch! Axwoon shouted as she returned a volley of red necromagic back at Ugla. Ugla spun her staff and deflected most of the bolts. But as one of the bolts got close to hitting her, sandals turned into a sword and deflected it. Axwound cackled an evil laugh as she backed up against the pillar holding the cunt. Gunk was stunned. He stood stock still as everything hit him all at once. The room deafened to him as he began to cry. What would his friends think of him now? Where were they? Duncan, Gunk said quietly. Enough of this pussy teasing, Axwound shouted as Ugla's hellfire spell absorbed around Axwound's open palm. She screamed, laughed as she rose up toward the cunt. Gunky, let's roll, she shouted down at Gunk, snapping him out of his inaction. Axewound used her magics to program in a location on the cunt. That's a sentence that's harder to read because no one's ever said it.
You've got no reference points.
Yeah. We're in uncharted territory here. With ease, she lifted Gunk up and held him in her arms as she reached out and plucked the giant orb from the pillar. See you next Screw Yous Day, Axewound said, laughing as the device opened a portal. Yoink, Demi said as she popped down from the pillar above and grabbed onto the device. But it was too late. With a single flash and zoop, they were gone. Axewound, Gunk, and Demi.
Oh,
No! Ugla screamed. Well, that was a fun religion while it lasted, said Norm as he dusted himself off. Who wants cave juice? Demi! Ugla yelled. Buffcat held out a single paw and touched Ugla's shoulder. Demi! Shouted Squib as if his high-pitched, annoying-ass voice could be heard over space and time better than Ugla's. Or maybe he was just shouting out of desperation and sadness. I can tell you where they went, a quiet voice from the shadows said quietly and shadowy.
That's also a great sentence that hasn't been written before.
Ugla shook herself back to reality and squinted into the darkness. From out of the shadows stood a hooded figure in a monk-style cloak. They slowly raised their hands and pulled back the hood to reveal... Gary? Ugla said in shock. To be continued. Spell the Q.
That was great.
I've never heard the word cunt so many times. Outside of an Auntie Donna sketch, I guess.
Yeah, outside of any Australian conversation.
When you first started doing the voice for the cunt, I thought you'd brought Princess Toadstool back.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, very similar.
And then you mentioned a person in a robe, and I was like, oh my god, has he brought back Boris? I might cry.
Oh. Gary's back, though.
Gary's back. That's just as good.
Boris is dead.
I know he is. I don't want to.
Vampires don't ever die. If Castlevania has taught me anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just keep making them. Castlevanias and vampires.
They just keep coming back from the dead every 100 years. So if you wait 100 years on the podcast, Boris will come back.
No, every one of those Skelemen has a Boris bone in them. Oh, sure they do.
Do you want another one?
If you pull them all out and put them together, Boris will return. That's my prediction.
Damn. Now who's the necromancer?
Yeah, head to the Storylords store where you could get the Boris Bloodsuck Skeleman puzzle for only $39.99.
I mean,
it's just those. Remember those candies that were coffins and you could put the bone men together? It's just that.
I tell you what, if we get 5 more top tier patrons, Masterpieces patrons, this week, then Josh will have to bring Boris back.
That's right. That's how it works.
We have no artistic integrity as people.
Artistic?
I definitely do what I'm told.
We don't have any integrity.
No,
artistic.
Absolutely not.
Give it.
Literally will suck a foot.
Give us money.
Money. Bring money.
That was so funny.
I want to know what the fuck Gary knows. It's going to help any of our characters.
I don't know. We have to wait till next time. Hopefully we get some good prompts and I'll have to shoehorn them in like I did today.
Just wait until next time when we finally get back to Scrabble's dance.
I was going to end it with that, but...
You gotta save it. You gotta savor it.
That's a treat.
Yeah, it's a Christmas special, not at Christmas. Definitely not promising it at Christmas.
Bonemas special.
Bonemas.
And you don't know when Bonemas is, so you're just gonna have to wait, aren't you?
There could be several Bonemasses.
You went very Philly there. Bonemas.
Like
Bonemasses.
Bonemasses. Yo. Fucking, you heading down the shore for 4th of July?
You head down the shore for Bonemasses?
You trying to go to Bonemas? You try to go down the shore?
Oh. Well, that
was a great story,
yeah,
man.
It was a Bonemas miracle.
Don't miss.
Oh, man. We'll be right back with part 2. We're back after indeterminate amount of time, talking about shit that you'll never know and you'll never understand.
Damn.
Jeez.
And with that sort of vaguely Twilight Zone-y intro, Jeff is going to send us to Spooky Vision.
I remember when Rod Serling said, "You're an idiot and you'll never know what we said."
Well, with that fucking layup, the title of my story is Dream a Little Dream.
That's that song.
I don't know. I think that violates my client's confidentiality, Pavlov Flinch said vacantly, his yellow, watery eyes staring in the middle distance, focused on nothing as usual. There's an amendment about that, I think. The 13th? I'm your fucking client, dipshit! Jason Grace screamed out at him, his fists gripped at his sides tight enough to almost draw blood from his fingernails digging into his skin just to keep from knocking this little gremlin's head off his weak, knobby shoulders and ridding the world of a living STD on its proverbial ballsack.
Oh, God.
And yet you still haven't paid me the other half of my retainer. Doesn't sound much like a good client to me, huh? Flitch returned with all the unearned caustic bravado of a third-grade spelling bee champ, which is about where his literacy level floated most days.
Man, I am loving this fucking burn fest that Flinch is getting right now.
We've been at this for 45 minutes! Dev Durwood III chimed in, slapping his own cheeks with both hands hard as hell, like I slapped your mama's nasty-ass dump truck full of lumpy potatoes. While I was wailing on her with my big, thick-ass masher in the back of the Ida Potato Factory down on 5th on her lunch break.
Wow, you made so many Irish people horny then.
It's nice of the owners to give her a job as a cum rag, given her age and medical history, by the way.
Wow.
Wow.
Dev continued. Just tell us why Gestalt was after you for information in the first place. The salt. My doctor says I can't have too much salt anymore. It'll make my kidneys explode out of me like a chest burster, Pavlov answered evenly, bringing his can of Surge up to his lips and downing half of it in one gulp. How the fuck did he get a Surge? When is this story even set? Who knows?
He just had one in his car for like 35 years.
Jason,
opened.
Of course. Jason, Dev, TK Kanzaki, and Alyssa Madero set where they'd been set for the entirety of this off-screen comical farce I'm not bothering to write. In a semicircle around one of the motel rooms they'd rented out at the Motel 69 after meeting up with Flinch and his mystery friend. Jason had a towel draped over his wet head and was wearing a pair of loner purple pajama pants with little crescent moons all over them that Dev had brought from home. They made it just past his knees. His clothes were in the washing machine down the hallway, having been caked with so much mud that morning that he could barely move in them anymore after it hardened. This was the
and not poop.
This was the 5th and hopefully final cycle. This is getting us nowhere. Just let me beat it out of him, Alyssa growled out. I vote for that too, Pavlov piped up instantly. I'm gonna go ahead and veto that then, TK said with her lip upturned in disgust.
Jesus, Flinch.
You gotta know how to get information out of him. It's like working with a toddler. A 6th voice piped up from the doorway, and a slow camera reveal from the floor up. That's stage direction for when we fully sell out and turn this into a sick-ass CW show, by the way.
Hell yeah.
We first see a pair of heavy Doc Marten boots, then some old faded dark blue jeans, a heavy leather jacket with fur at the collar, and then the ever annoyed and put upon face of last season's main heroine, Kayla S. Hunter.
Hey!
That's right, boys and girls, she's back. I didn't even make a big deal out of it by dragging it out like movies and TV do with returning characters to show how important they are. I was just like, pow, there she is. That's really brave of me, I think. It just goes to show how good of a character she is that I didn't have to belabor the point at all. I didn't do the whole spiel about how important she is or how she saved the world or anything. I was just like, boom, she's here and she's part of the story now. Fucking quick and clean, baby. Not like those terrible woke TV shows and movies. Oh, wow. I don't know what woke means in this context and won't look it up, but I assume me saying that won't cause any undue harm to the podcast or to my friends Rich and Josh's reputation. Anyway, Kayla's here.
I mean, yeah, that was the quickest and cleanest intro I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Surgical, I would say.
You really stuck to the landing on that one.
If he won't fess up, then you beat it out of him. Like an adult, she said with a smirk. I just don't understand the question. I'm not sure why that qualifies me for a beating I won't get any sexual gratification from, Flinch winced. Never mind, Kayla said plainly. I want to stress I'm not affiliated with him, even slightly. Life keeps pushing me by making me deal with him. I got to assume... life keeps punishing me for making a deal with him. I got to assume I was some kind of serial killer cannibal in a past life or something. I miss it compared to him. Shut the fuck up and start talking, Flinch! Jason screamed out at him. Everyone in the room exchanged glances for a moment. You know what I mean, damn it! Why did the evil organization we're chasing down want you to begin with? Oh, Gestalt, the evil organization. Why didn't you just say that to begin with? Flinch chided. The vein in Jason's forehead looked like it was going to pop out of him, like a kidney out of Pavlov Flinch after his next Big Mac. But Flinch carried on. They kept saying something about alien blood or something. They couldn't get enough of the stuff. I guess they were running low or something and thought I could detective up some for them. I'm really the best in the business. Don't believe the Yelp reviews or the Google reviews or the graffiti at the bus stop next to the 7-Eleven.
Hashtag bugs.
What the fuck is this melting troll doll talking about? Jason flung his head around to look at Kayla, who had her face in her hand already. Thankfully, I kind of know what he's dancing around like a drunk dad at a shotgun wedding, Kayla said as her hand slid from her face and she composed herself. The two of us stumbled into an encampment of acolytes of the Third Birth, a nasty doomsday cult that was trying to bring about some kind of eldritch space horror's birth. In the tent we hid in, there was the corpse of something not human, and jars and jars and jars of its purple blood. From what you've all told me about these chrysalid things, it looks like they need the purple blood of one of these things to make more of them. Flinch saw where they were keeping it before. Gestalt knew about it somehow, so they tried to track him down for the info. Oh, I told him, Flinch remarked casually.
Oh.
When every set of eyes in the room landed on him instantly, widened in disbelief, he shrugged over dramatically. What? The cops asked me what I knew. Was I supposed to lie?
Yes.
The cops work for Gestalt, Jason muttered to Alyssa, TK, and Dev. No shit, Sherlock. And I thought the fat Toby from The Office was the detective in the room. Alyssa snapped back. Whoa! TK jumped up from her seat on the side of the bed, stepping between Jason and Alyssa just as Jason rose from his seat at the end of the bed. It was a motel room. There weren't many places to sit.
Motel 69.
What the fuck is your problem? You've been biting our heads off the entire way here, Jason said, trying not to get too fumingly angry for a change. She didn't mean anything by it, TK said, trying to play peacemaker. The Office. Is that show that's set during the 70s? Flinch asked. That's that 70s show, Dev responded flatly. Yeah, that's what I'm asking, Flinch returned.
Oh, God.
This is that Pavlov Flinch who's on first.
Dev stumbled a bit. No, that's not what I'm... All right, I'm going to bed. Alyssa threw her hands in the air and walked through the motel room, around everyone to the door and waited there, hands still in the air, for Kayla to move out of her way. And she did, holding her own hands up in a mock gesture as she stepped aside. Then Alyssa slipped out the door, turned down the hallway, and headed towards the other room they'd purchased for the night. I'm sorry, guys, she's just... TK tried to explain, but gave up just as quickly, awkwardly smiling as she made her way through the crowded room towards the door as well. Excuse me, let me slip by you. Sorry. Okay. She stopped by the door to the room and turned back. I'll talk to her. She's just not used to being in a group is all. It's not all it's cracked up to be, I get it, Kayla said sarcastically, looking away from the others out the window. Her eyes were met with a monumentally gigantic, rotating, glowing yellow signpost reading Motel 69, where your dreams happen because you're asleep when you have them, TM.
Wow.
She recoiled at the sight.
I mean, it's not false advertising.
No.
It's true.
No, it's true.
We're leaving at 6 tomorrow, right? TK awkwardly tried to steer the conversation back to her leaving. Bright and early. We got a short way to go, but we got no idea what's waiting for us there. The Arclay Mansion is in upstate New York, in the middle of the woods, the whitest of white people country. I wouldn't trust it, Dev said with a grave look.
That was the second season of Lovecraft Country. It was called The Whitest of White People Country.
He then looked around at Jason and Flinch, the two honkies in their midst, and smiled graciously. Present company excluded, of course. Nah, I completely understand, Jason said, waving him off. I'm 1/16th Cherokee, Flinch said.
Boo, Flinch.
Well, good night. See you all tomorrow, TK said with a forced smile on her face. She turned to leave and awkwardly half nod, half bowed at Kayla before hurrying out the door with a quick, courteous, Miss Hunter? After a moment, Kayla spoke in a quiet voice. That girl's wound tight as hell. She always like that? Jason and Dev exchanged glances. They hadn't known her long enough to really make any call, they both realized at once. Knock, knock! A voice came from the open door, causing everyone to jump and look in that direction. An old white couple in their 60s with completely white hair, both wearing polo shirts with the Motel 69's logo on the left breast pocket, stood there. It's Bud and Luann Berman again, the man, apparently named Bud, chimed in sing-songy. He held a menu in his slightly shaking old hand, his other hand pushing up his gigantic square-framed glasses. We thought your polycule could use a late-night snack before bed. Gotta keep your strength up with so many holes to fill. Don't we know it, Luann said with a shake of her head to smile. Besides, more fuel for the fires of hell once you'd end up there for all eternity.
Oh, what?
That's what I always say, Bud said with a chuckle. For the last time, we're not a fucking polycule, Jason screamed out, his teeth gnashing in his head. So that's completely off the table then? Flinch questioned quietly. Alyssa, TK pushed the door to their room open, finding Alyssa sitting in front of the vanity mirror, brushing her dark black hair out with an old beat-up hairbrush. We really need to talk. Everybody's favorite phrase, Alyssa said tersely, before raising and dropping her shoulders all at once to expel the frustration from her. Sorry, yeah, you're probably right. TK sat at the foot of the bed and crisscrossed her fingers of her hands together, rocking her legs back and forth awkwardly from the nervous energy coursing through her veins. I know you said you didn't want to do this back at Dev's, but... TK paused a moment, feeling suddenly very drowsy all of a sudden, as if the fatigue of her long journey had finally started to wear on her. Yeah? Alyssa's voice cut in instantly, bringing TK back to her senses. Oh, sorry. I just can't walk away from this. There's been... Well, it's kind of hard to explain, but TK rubbed at her eye, the deep, sleepy feeling dragging at her to give up the conversation and go to bed instead. But she fought it. I keep having these visions. You know what I am, what I can do. And these visions, they're real. I know they are. What are you talking about? What kind of visions? Alyssa's anger had melted completely into concern now. She stood up from the table and walked over to the bed, sitting down next to TK. I see this white room. It has these dark recesses all along the walls, like fissures, but perfectly symmetrical, you know? And it's so bright in there, it hurts to be in there. Like something's eating away at me. TK fiddled with her fingers to try to keep focus, the sound of her own voice somewhat distant and hazy in her weariness. In the room, there's always someone else. Something else? I don't know. She rubbed at her eye again, the feeling of lifting her arm being so disconnected from her own feeling of it that she barely registered it happening. It called itself Nil, and said it was the one behind Gestalt. I can't run away from this because it's already in me, Alyssa. Alyssa sat in silence for a moment, leaning forward with her elbows on her knees and her face in her hands. She wanted to just go home and pretend like none of this had ever happened. Not because she was a coward, but because of what it was doing to TK. What it could possibly do to TK. Maybe she was doing what she'd always done with her. What she'd told herself she couldn't ever do again when she decided to break it off with her to begin with. Trying to run her life for her. All right.
I would like that. Run my life.
All right, Alyssa began, sitting up straight. We'll go. You and I, we're in this together, you know? Like before, when we were... Alyssa turned to look into TK's eyes, but was instead met with empty air in front of her. She looked down to find TK laid out sideways across the bed asleep, a little bit of drool pooling at the edge of her mouth already from the complete absence of consciousness.
My God, that was fast.
When we were together, Alyssa said flatly. You have to eat your peas, dear, TK's mom said with warmth in her voice, spooning a small spoonful of peas onto the perfectly white dinner plate in front of her daughter. You want to grow up big and strong, right? What?
I love peas.
No.
Mom? TK managed to choke out, her voice high and whiny and almost unrecognizable to herself. She looked around the room, terror gripping her heart amidst the sudden confusion for some reason, until her eyes landed on a mirror across the hallway from the dining room. She was reflected here, in her old wooden seat at the table, barely 8 years old.
Don't gotta pay taxes, bitch!
Listen to your mother, Pookie Bear. TK whirled around at the voice, the memory of it flooding into her like a dam breaking. Her father was seated across the table from her, spooning a heaping spoonful of mashed potatoes onto his plate. He smiled a wide, adoring smile as their eyes met, but it made TK's stomach sink instantly. This isn't right, she muttered to herself below her breath, her heart beating so hard in her chest that it hurt. This isn't right, she yelled out, trying to push away from the table, but finding her arms not strong enough to move her legs completely held in place by some unseen force. Now, Pookie Bear, you're scaring your little brother, TK's mom said with a practiced, soft, chiding tone. She picked up a small wooden spoon with a teddy bear on the end of it and spooned out some mashed potatoes into the waiting mouth of a small, cooing baby boy in a high chair next to her. Yeah, Teresa, you don't want to hurt your baby brother, do you? TK's father said with a small laugh, but his voice began to echo into infinity then. On and on the laugh stretched until it was a long, ceaseless droning, and everything around TK had begun to move at the most barely imperceptible crawl, slowed to near motionlessness. Each of her family members looked at her with adoration in their eyes, as some unseen force radiated out from her vision, white and thin and glittering in the low house light. Their faces all distorted away from her almost imperceptibly, then drew in. And agonizingly slowly, as if frame by frame in such smooth, unclipped motion, their skin began to peel away from the muscle beneath their faces.
Classic family dinner.
Of course. They stared at her, unblinking, unseeing, but screaming in a type of pain that very few humans had ever experienced.
Must be
TK tried to
boneless.
scream out as well, but nothing came out of her throat. Only the same power within her that surged and swam through the air, ripping the flesh away from the bloody, squirting muscle beneath their faces, their necks. Their clothing began to burn and twist in the air, and then even the meat that made up the shape of their faces that she could suddenly barely remember, began to rend and tear from the bleached white skulls beneath. Everything about her home was suddenly burning and twisting and being pushed away as if a bomb had gone off in the exact spot where she was sitting. Her family was atomized in the force she had created.
Yeah, get him!
Her home was burnt into ash and scrap in the force she couldn't control. TK Kanzaki was standing in the middle of the rubble of her home. The distant sounds of sirens, dull and droning on the air as ash and flame wisped around her back to the ground. In the strewn wood and soot of what was once her family sat a small teddy bear spoon, upturned, with mashed potatoes running into the dirt next to it. A single eyeball in the ash stared up at her unblinking, tiny and brown and dimming.
And that was the last bone mess they ever had.
Damn. All right, you've told me everything I need to hear about this, Kayla Hunter said with authority in her voice. She leaned on her long silver metal cane as she stood in the center of the room, holding a hand up to stop the information deluge coming at her. So you'll help us? Dev said with hope in his voice. We could use someone with your world-saving expertise on our side. I didn't want to get anyone down in the dumps, but I computed only a 2.375% chance of success, giving our groups, shall we say, suckitude? No, I won't be helping, kid. I'm going to be taking over. You all go home and go back to your regular lives. I'll handle this myself, Kayla said, narrowing her eyes.
Okay, Mom.
Narrowing her eyes at Jason and Deb. You can pack up and head back in the morning. That biker chick will probably be psyched about it. She hates you nerds. Ah, man, I thought a girl liked me, Dev said with head hung low. As a friend, I mean, he added, quickly pointing her finger up in the air. You haven't even gotten friend-zoned with a girl yet? Sad, bro. Flint shook his head with pity. What the hell are you talking about? I'm not going home until I've stopped these maniacs and avenged my brother. Did you miss that part of the story? Jason snapped, standing up from his seat at the end of the crusty-ass motel bed where people fuck your mom a lot. LOL.
It was in the potato factory.
Or the combination Taco Bell and Pizza Hut.
Look, your mom gets around is all I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
She does love Taco Bell and Pizza Hut.
You don't even have the right tools, kid, Kayla snapped back, holding her cane up and immediately sliding the blade hidden inside of it out, the shining silver edge of it glinting in the nearly burnt-out halogen ambience of the room. You want a fucking bet, Jason growled, kneeling down and yanking up his duffel bag, unzipping it indignantly and pulling out his woodsman's axe, the same silver edge glint happening in the light for it. What? You got a silver weapon? How the hell did you get your hands on that? Kayla looked the axe over with wide eyes and disbelief on her face, mixed with some genuine anger it ended up in the hands of some kid. My dad gave it to me, Jason said without a hint of honor or mirth behind it. I could lob the head off any monstrosity with this bad boy before, but now it can't even dent those things. I have no fucking clue what even happened. Still, it's gotten me this far, it's gonna get me my revenge. Kayla took a mental note that this kid had introduced himself as Grace. That answered any follow-up questions she happened to have. Instead, she tilted the cane scabbard towards Jason and the light behind him. You gotta clean it, numbnuts. Your dad didn't give you a sheath for that thing? With this stuff inside? Kayla said. Jason peered into the scabbard with narrowed eyes and saw a strange, green, slightly bubbling liquid inside of it and recoiled away all at once. That's cleaning fluid? He asked incredulously. Fucking hell, kid. Kayla shook her head. Here, I got more at home. She tilted the scabbard up and carefully poured about half of the strange burbling green liquid over the metal head of the axe. The liquid sizzling as soon as it touched, before laying flat like a new layer of sheen on top of it, hardening instantly. Good as new. Fuck yes, dude. You gotta be shitting me. That's all there is to this? I thought I'd fucking voided the warranty or something. Jason smiled from ear to ear, brandishing the axe around carelessly for a moment before catching himself being a little too childlike and vulnerable in front of people and stopped immediately.
Aww.
So, that means we're gonna go with you then. Why else would you help me get battle ready, huh?
Yeah.
I'm always shooting myself in the fucking foot, Kayla growled under her breath, shaking her head. Yeah, I fucking guess. TK was standing in the white room again, the deep halogen hum of unseen bulbs rattling in her head and her eyes straining against the blinding emptiness surrounding her. She stumbled for a moment. She couldn't remember her parents' faces any longer. She had just seen them, seen what she had done to them. She hadn't remembered what they looked like for well over 10 years, but suddenly the absence was so much more painful, searing at her mind like a hot iron. You are lost. A familiar robotic voice filled her mind to its brim and hurt her head, the pressure behind her eyes of it inside of her thoughts threatening to pop them from their sockets, but she endured. Like Orpheus in the Underworld.
Morpheus?
She turned slowly to find the same man sitting slumped over in a chair in the center of the room in the same tattered old lab coat, the same corpse as always. We are your salvation, the voice continued. TK turned her eyes to the other end of the room, but there was suddenly no space from there to here, and she was only a few feet away from the floating, flickering, faceless, featureless being that spoke to her. It had only black, empty slits where eyes would be, its entire body jumping and jittering with electronic feedback from moment to moment. I don't understand. I can't remember. Who are we? TK groaned as she held her head in her hand, shrinking away, slowly sinking into the humming white light. The warmth enveloped her, and she could suddenly no longer see or feel much of anything at all. The voice followed her down, so distant and indistinct, but seared into her very last thought. You and I, we are nil. Please! Alyssa screamed out at the open door to the other hotel room, startling Jason, Dev, Kayla, and Flinch all at once. I couldn't stop her. She just left. She was cold as ice and she just left.
No!
What's going on? Dev cried out as he and everyone ran over to the door to follow Alyssa out into the hallway. TK ran off outside. I couldn't follow her. She was too fast. She was using her mind thing to lose me for some reason. Why would she do that? Alyssa was frantic and turned and ran down the hallway towards the stairs out to the emergency doors. She was completely out of it. I'll meet you out there, Jason called out, running down the hallway in the opposite direction to retrieve his clothing from the laundromat room. Dev nodded, thinking Jason had something important and action hero-y to do instead. He wouldn't realize what had just happened for weeks. It would severely tarnish his viewpoint of Jason as an action hero cool guy. When the assembled crew got outside, they saw a completely strange sight awaiting them. Across the parking lot, TK was climbing into the driver's seat of a large Winnebago with the Motel 69 logo plastered across the side of it. She barely looked back at them, her eyes white and empty in their sockets as she passed over them with no recollection sparking in them. Climbing in the side doors of the Winnebago behind her were none other than Bud and Luann Berman from earlier.
Yeah, I knew they were coming along.
The proprietors of this disgusting shithole motel who thought our heroes were a polycule. Which was pretty wild considering they're old white boomers. How do they even know what that is? Did Fox News do a thing recently?
Yeah,
4chan.
Each of them with the same glazed over empty white look in their eyes that TK was sporting. The engine roared to life as Alyssa ran across the parking lot as fast as she could, but she couldn't close the distance in time. The recreational vehicle spun out backwards from its parking spot and then jerked heavily onto the road, zooming down the highway away from the Motel 69 at full speed. They're heading towards Arclay. Dev huffed and puffed, completely out of breath from running downstairs in a way very few young men are capable of being without some type of long-term illness. Fuck! Fuck! Alyssa screamed out. She paced back and forth for a moment, growling out her frustrations. What is going on? Jason finally caught up with them, back in his heavy brown boots and fur-collared blue jean jacket. Kayla pointed to the fur on her collar and then at Jason's, nodding. Jason did the "oh yeah" look on his face and nodded as well. This meant absolutely nothing to the story. Fuck it. I'm all in, Alyssa growled out, running across the parking lot, leaping onto the hood of her car and sliding across it.
Nice.
She threw the driver's side door open and leapt into the front seat, grinding the engine on hard and throwing it into gear. She spun the car back around like a top to stop at inches in front of the assembled group. Fucking shit, Jason yelled out as everyone jumped back away from it with him. Everybody in the goddamn car now! We're going after her. I'm not losing her again, Alyssa screamed from the front window of the car. Jason and Dev leapt in as fast as they could, while Flinch tried to slip off without any of them noticing. Against her better judgment, Kayla grabbed him by the collar of his stupid cosplay detective jacket and flung him into the back seat before leaping in after him.
Just let him go.
The car rocketed out of the parking lot and onto the road like it was barely touching the asphalt, already cracking 90 by the time it's been wheels to pavement for only a few seconds. Alyssa gripped the steering wheel hard and narrowed her eyes as she drove. This is what I do, so buckle the fuck up, she said with bass in her voice.
Nice.
Everyone pretty instantly did what she said. The violent
mommy.
The violent rumble of the wheels on the road filled the silence between them, determination welling up in each of their hearts together. TK? Dips asked hesitantly, floating just behind the driver's seat that TK sat in, mesmerized, driving full tilt in some random-ass Winnebago he'd never seen in his life down a stretch of dark highway with the lights off. Dude, you okay? Or to be continued?
That was great.
That was
Thank
great.
you.
That was really good.
I know. I like seeing Kayla back.
Wait, so I have a question.
Yes, I may be able to answer it.
What's the cricket man's name?
Rio.
What's his last name?
Tachibana.
He's adopted.
No.
She's adopted.
Who?
TK.
TK is not adopted.
Am I?
Why? Were you going to say they were siblings?
Well, the baby. Who's the fucking baby?
Yeah, the baby's dead, dog.
I mean, yeah. Unreliable narrator Jeff Pennington.
I guess that's
here.
true. I wouldn't believe what I said either, to be honest.
I had to relieve some of the tension with that boneless joke because
No, it's fine. It's fine.
That was so dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, this story got real horror-y suddenly, huh? Everybody who said I didn't write horror, fuck you.
Whoa.
Nobody said that but me.
No one said that.
Fuck you, me.
Fuck you, me.
I was thinking, like throughout that story, like Dips has been suspiciously absent. Like, and I was worried that Dips was somehow controlling TK. Like that Dips was bad all of a sudden.
No.
Have you ever seen Surf Ninjas? Surf Ninjas can't be bad.
Yeah,
But
Dips
that's
is
the
a surf
sort of
ninja.
horse shit that Jeff Pennington would pull.
That's true.
That
I might pull
twist.
something like that.
What class is Dips? Surf Ninja.
That is his D&D class.
Yep.
Surf Ninja.
That was great. It was so good.
Thank you.
Yeah. That was very scary.
Dips was told, I guess, since there is a little bit of like off-screen stuff happening at the beginning, Dips was told not to freak out Kayla and Flinch when they met up with him.
Yeah.
Freak out Flinch. It's fine. Fuck him.
Yeah, he was. I think there's a whole new tier of shittiness that he reached in this episode.
Yeah.
Everyone else like is cool and like he's like that dude who shows up to the party and you're like, man, what the fuck is this guy doing here?
He's like
This
the
guy's
uncle.
deal.
He's like the uncle that comes to boneless dinner and then ruins everything. Creepy uncle.
Second
Pavlov.
bone miss.
Second boneless.
Yeah.
He's heard of boneless, but has he heard of second boneless?
All right, you filthy degenerates. That's the end of part 2. come back in a little while for part 3. Hello, we're back. We're talking Omniverse now. That's about as good as an intro as I can bring up.
That was an amazing.
Thanks.
Do you want to put that in? That should be in like the announcers Hall of Fame.
That should be on the book as a quote on the back.
You and Jimmy Pardo should be in the fucking
I don't know
same class.
Harry Carey.
Okay.
Hey Norm, if you were a hot dog, would you eat yourself?
If the moon was made of green cheese, would you eat it? Don't jerk me around, Norm. It's a simple question.
Simple question.
So, where last we left off in the story, there are our team is split, and Oryx and Humi are watching the tournament for the picking of the new Wrath, where Kellen is fighting. And also, on the desert planet it was inspired by Sea and Furiosa, Hallgrim and Asher have just been, and Shelley, the page, have been met by another Kellen from a different time.
Okay.
So, there's two Kellens.
Confusing.
It really is. My episode this week...
Put on Rugrats.
My episode this week is called Dr. Rafflove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying About Prompts and Love the Shoehorn.
Amazing.
Now, Kellen found herself in a chair in a dark room where she could just make out a large semicircular tablet of stone in front of her. Table of stone. She moved her hands and feet, expecting them to be bound, or hoping, am I right, S&M lovers? Ow, ow! But they were free. Instantly, her hands moved to her face. The helm she had been wearing in the tournament was gone. Her identity revealed to all in this underground waiting room? In the distance, she could just make out a panpipe version of the girl from Ipanema. And at a side table next to her were a number of out-of-date magazines covered in a thick layer of dust. Cosmopolitan, Relativity Fair, and the like. She stood and looked around the room, but couldn't pierce the veil of darkness that extended a few metres in front of her. Surrounded by a circle of light, she looked up to find a solitary spotlight peering down on her. She took a step, and the light followed. She took another. It followed again. She then took a sidestep and then quickly back again, and the operator lost her temporarily before locating her, pointing her middle finger at the light operator. She sat back down and languidly drew a cool S in the dust at the table. Please don't do that, a voice came across the stone table. That rune is the most dangerous rune ever committed to school exercise books and trapper keepers in the known Omniverse. Except the one that summons a giant barbarian feline with a spiky tail when you change your drawing of a penis into a cat, of course. That's how you summon a buff cat in this world.
Damn, that's awesome.
Kellen sat, and small spotlights illuminated the people around the table, all wearing animal helms. "Who are you, girl? Why have we never registered you before?" the old decrepit voice of the wheel asked as Kellen sat in the chair in front of the full panel of the Pillars of Alima. The only one missing was Raph, and that made her realise something. The tournament she had just been in was a Pillastrum, a meet to pick a new successor. This is how she was to become Raph. The temporal mechanics in play were giving her a headache. They sat, angry helmets staring at her, waiting for a response. When none came, the Rit leaned forward. "Speak, Riftwalker! Few can do what you can, even amongst this council. I myself can only draw on the arcane forces when no one is looking directly at me, and only then after I've had one drink so nerves don't get the better of me."
Wow. Performance anxiety much?
Are we talking rifts, or Kellen waved her little finger, drooping it slightly? Enough jokes. The Word stepped down from the table, looking furious even through that static helmet. Sort of like at the end of Empire Strikes Back, when Darth Vader loses Luke and he looks sad, even though he hasn't changed his expression. Anyone?
Yeah.
Anyone? Yeah, Josh gets it.
Yeah.
He looks sad!
Because he turns
sad.
back again. It's the second turnaround that makes it,
The Word was clearly struggling to control her fury and put a hand on the chair as she came to stand with Kellen. "The Raph and I will interrogate the girl and find out what she knows." Kellen tried to focus, to open a rift so she could leave this place and find Oryx and Humi again, but her body refused to comply. It was as if the ability had been turned off inside her. "We've prepared for your tricks, Kellen," the Raph said. "No one can rift inside the mountain." So, she was deep inside the home of the Pillars, inside the mountain overlooking the capital. How long had she been asleep? The two Pillars dragged her, kicking and fighting, into an adjacent room, where they threw her towards a chair and locked the door after them. "You've got a hell of a lot to answer for." The Word took her helm off to reveal a face Kellen knew all too well. 24 hours ago.
What the fuck?
No, go back.
Hey, go back to the future.
The sun was dipping faster than your mum's head in the bathroom stall at that bar she frequents to catch the eye of a young college dropouts, and the sun was already nearly as low as the self-esteem any man would have to possess to take on the horrible burden of her desperation.
Jesus.
Wow.
Your mom's taking a beating this episode.
Fuck, dude.
The crowd roared in anticipation of the fight, and Kellen looked out over the crowd to see armies of people wearing the image of the robo-centaur she was currently fighting on their shirts. "Stomp that bitch to paste!" one shouted. "Grind that slut into the ground!" another bellowed.
Jesus.
Have a good clean fight and don't let us down by being misogynistic or a bad influence on young sports fanciers. Let's remember this is just a game, an android yelled, only to be turned on by the pack around him and torn to pieces for being a gay and not your typical
Oh, no!
and not your typical brain dead meathead sports fan.
Fuck.
Funny as fuck.
The giant beast splicer charged at her, spear in hand, his robo-horse mouth slavering as he did. Turning just in time, she dodged, but got caught by him and tumbled to the ground. He spun and raised his arms to the crowd, prompting a huge cheer. Kellen got up to all fours and lifted her helm just enough to wipe her mouth. She drew the hand back and a thin line of blood trailed across her hand in that cool way that protagonists do.
Yeah.
She thought of her future self's weathered face and wondered if the split along her mouth would leave that familiar scar. "All right, no Taro. Time to finish this," Kellen said. The crowd fell silent and her rival tilted his head and snorted. Kellen stood, shrugging. I realise now you probably don't know that reference. It's from Mortal Kombat 3. Arguably the best game in the series, unless you count Mortal Kombat Trilogy, which was really only the updated Mortal Kombat 3. Mm-hmm. Not a fighting game fan, huh? Surprising. It's like you modelled your whole look on him. Or like... maybe your stable master was like a big fan of Mr. Ed and RoboCop or something.
They two go together like peas and carrots.
Wait, just so I'm sure, were you a Veletayan man who wanted to be more of a horse, or a Veletayan horse who wanted to be more like a man? Because if it's the latter, I don't really know whether fighting you is some sort of act of cruelty. Maybe you're just like a carrot and a brush.
This is some wild trash talk.
Yeah. This is like Larry Bird-esque level trash talk.
The centaur roared and charged again, but this time Kellen stood her ground, not even raising Doomcock. She just stared the approaching splicer down and with a waft of her hand opened a rift in front of him, then opened its partner in front of a blacksmith's anvil just outside the fighting ring. His head rang against the metal with a resounding clang. She then opened a rift as he fell backwards and opened another into a janitor's tent where the sound of multiple rakes being stepped on and hitting the centaur in the face could be heard.
Die a fucking bile follicle.
As Notaro stepped out of the janitor tent dazed, she opened a rift in front of him that he fell into, then was there to meet the opening with a well-placed fist. The crowd fell silent again, contemplating the victorious Kellen, who looked up to the royal box where her mother and father and brother were straight up staring at her in shock. Then everyone erupted into cheers and screams, the centaur bros ripping off their shirts instantly, then reassembling the android they had torn apart so he could cheer with them too.
Good At least they learned.
Good
Yay, he said.
That's cute.
I do not mean to be presumptuous, but I have already started 3D printing merchandise for the new RAF, a robotic but clearly human voice sounded
What are you,
behind her.
outside the link? Damn, dude, already? Shit.
As she turned, Humi pulled a t-shirt over her that showed a cartoon of Kellen holding a warhammer with the words Psycho Raph printed underneath. Oryx stood next to Humi, staring at Kellen as if she was a stranger. Kellen, he asked, not quite sure if it was her. It's me, Oryx, she whispered, shocked that she had obviously looked so different. How long has it been since you last saw me? A year, friend Kellen, Humi declared. And you? Kellen was shaken. How is that possible? How had she been away for over a decade whilst they... She smiled, of course. Even if she'd spent 10 years away, she could have arrived back at any point on their journey. Nearly 11 years. How did you come back in time? Humi and Oryx looked at each other, shocked by the news that she had been away so long, and at her question. Humi and I have been traversing time through the rifts ever since we all touched Doomcock and were diverged, Oryx said. We anticipated you were attempting to get us all back together somehow. Kellen looked around. No, it wasn't me. Wait, I haven't heard any sexual innuendo for like 2 seconds. Where's Ash and Hallgrim? We assumed they were with you or having the similar sort of temporal shenanigans we were, Humi said. I am so pleased to see you, friend Kellen. The three of them embraced, and she felt a relief wash over her that her friends were alive. Your joy is short-lived, human, Notaro said in gasping wheezes as he raised his spear. Sounding a little hoarse there, my friend, Humi said.
Oh my god.
Then laughed robotically. Ha 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 ha.
You still got it.
The Reap will never submit, Notaro said as he threw the spear. Kellen dodged the incoming weapon from a centaur opponent before realising the shaft wasn't meant for her. It was meant for your mum. No, really. It flew towards the royal box, towards her mother's chest, and Kellen knew she couldn't open a rift fast enough to get to it. Suddenly, Humi sent up a go-go gadget arm and caught the spear mid-flight
True hero.
before he turned to the Reap, realising it was a distraction all too late. Long live the Reap. He pressed a button on a small metallic box he held, and explosions rocked the crowd around them. 24 hours ago.
Terrorist.
24 hours ago, but
Again,
another
Rich.
time.
Again.
Rich, what the fuck day is it? Where are we?
Is it
Yeah.
Tuesday still?
Yeah, right, I know it's confusing, okay, but you try and keep all of these threads together.
I fucking will. Let me have it. Let me get your notes.
A pregnant Asha held her somehow older sister at arm's length, looking over the scarring on her face. How has it been 12 years? It has only been a few for us. Kellen looked as if she'd been through the ringer, and Hallgrim patted her on the shoulder. 12 years have been unkind to you, mate. You been doing UFC while you've been gone, or are you trying to stay incognito? I think I realise now why you started wearing the helm. Kellen smirked.
Rough.
Look who's talking. You look like you've been dragged through a hedge backwards. And not like a normal hedge, but like a mutant one that tried to rough fuck you on the way through.
Whoa!
Jeez.
Damn, where are these hedges at?
The smile faded. I haven't been controlling this. You're rifting, I mean. Humi and Oryx and I have been doing the same, jumping through time without purpose or direction. Wait, where is Florgo? Asher asked. Did he just fade into existence like boring speck he is? Who? Said Kellen before realising, oh, Florgo.
That's a little, like, self-narrator author. Yep.
She explained about Florgo, about her journeys in the Underworld. Look, I'm not writing another Underworld story for a prompt, so if you want to understand that reference, go to episode... Look, I'm not finding that information either, so if you want to get that reference to a reference, go to the website. I mean, you mean I have to list this? Okay, fine then. www.storylords.page. There you go.
You're a terrible librarian, Rich.
About her raising Asher as a child. She also dropped in a few jokes about listeners' mothers, just for good measure. And man, if you think mine are cutting, hoo boy, you'd have wished you were an orphan.
Yeah, I already do.
I cannot remember you looking after me as child. Was I happy? Asher asked, and at Kellen's nod, she burst into tears. Hallgrim comforted her, and Kellen noticed the bump at her belly. She must have been almost due. She's having a baby. I saved her life, a small girl's voice came from Kellen's side. And she jumped out of her skin. Who the fuck are you, weirdly silent, creepy girl? Kellen said. That's Shelley. She's the former page of Lord Chunder, some Reap tribe dickhead we just killed. The Reap were our fault, just so you know. We left them here to die, Kells. They are pissed beyond belief. We started all of this. Hallgrim grit his teeth, not really ready to forgive Kellen for sending them here, even though he knew in his heart it wasn't her fault. Lord Chunder. Kellen put a hand to her mouth, and Asher took a deep breath and felt her stomach. Hallgrim put his hand in the air. What? What fucking now? Is he going to come back as a robot? Or a ghost? Please not Robo-Hitler again. Is his kid going to swear vengeance and get us when we rift in the next 10 minutes? Fuck's sake. He isn't my dad, is he? Asher uttered a long groan, and Hallgrim turned to her as Shelley rushed to her side. Look, I know, love. It's a joke. We get rid of one tosspot, and he comes back as an alternative timeline version. We're going to get, like, Chairman Mao, but the dog version. Or J.K. Rowling as Laffy Taffy. It's just too much. What the fuck? Hallgrim, she's coming. Asher was helped to the ground by Shelley, and Kellen went to her side too. When Asher noticed a look on Kellen's face, she grabbed her. What is it? What aren't you telling us? If the baby's coming, that means Chunder's coming back as well. He's coming for her, Kellen explained. I found out a few weeks ago. Chunder will murder her and leave you two to rot here. Hallgrim remembered what the crone had said to him when she had repaired him. A diminished lifespan based on his power usage for his memory back. That was the deal. It was worth losing some of that lifespan to protect his unborn daughter. All right, fuck it. I'll be the man. Time to be bold, to be decisive, to... He started walking and then turned back. What should I do, Ash? Asher threw him a blade. Asher threw him the blade. Put the pointy end in him. I'm a bit busy at the moment, she said before groaning in pain. The Reap attacked in droves, killing the shocked audience members, soldiers of Alima and dignitaries alike. It was chaos, but Kellen felt good fighting alongside Oryx and Humi again. The Amrays had moved from the royal box, and Kellen had to put aside her fears about whether they were alive or not. Her future self had never told her about this event, and considering how time was as fucked as P. Diddy's next protege, it was clear...
Wow. Oh, Jesus, Rich Masters.
Hachi machi.
It was clear anything was fair game now. She looked around at the carnage surrounding her, the life lost. She knew that the Reap attacks had precipitated her father's work with the colonies in order to help their plight be heard by the Velet and the Norn. She wondered if she had enough time, more control, if she could go back and stop this, to help smooth the cracks that had formed. Time stretched out in her mind and she pieced it all together. There must be ways she could prevent some of this happening, surely. As 2 Reap assassins broke her concentration and charged her, Kellen opened 2 rifts with the same exit point. As they entered the rifts and then suddenly merged together, the 2 men screamed in agony. Luckily, the 2 had been hiding deep affection for each other, and the merging allowed them to confront their feelings. They would be together.
Matchmaker.
They would be together another 50 years, literally and figuratively inseparable. Don't say all my love stories end in tragedy.
That's like the porn version of conjoined twins.
Yeah, exactly. Oryx was deep in battle with No Taro and jumped on his back, riding him like a bucking bronco. As the centaur wore himself out, Oryx death-rolled him, spinning him round and round on the floor, snapping his limbs as he did. As the centaur was subdued, his limbs a mess of angles, Oryx was filled with the sudden urge to paint him, a perfect analogy for how his splicer brethren had been sent off on missions and casually disposed of.
Damn, that's deep.
The duality of Crocodile Man.
Deeper in the confusion, Hume ran from a gang of Reap who were intent on killing him. He quickly turned his legs to tank treads and zoomed off.
That's cheating.
The marauders in hot pursuit. As he turned down an alleyway, he encountered a refuse vehicle blocking his path, with no way to escape the incoming throng. "Get the metal bastard, Gemma," one of the Reap, who was part boar, just part ugly guy, said to his leader. Which part's which?
Yeah, exactly.
A hybridised bear woman. "When we get him, we disassemble him and sell the parts to fund the war effort," Gemma said, as they rushed down the alleyway, before stopping at a metal signpost that read, "This way for robot," which pointed to a black hole in the back of a vehicle.
This is the way.
The gang clambered in, and when the last person was contained, Hume turned back to his normal human self and shut the lid. Then pressed a button to send the bin straight to the refuse sorting plant, hopefully where they could be sorted into dickhead and slightly less dickhead. He returned to the centre ring, where it looked like Kellen, Oryx and the remainder of the Eleman military were detaining the rest of the Reap. As one was carted away, she yelled, "We only want to live!" Hume turned to find Oryx staring at him, and Kellen was looking down at the floor. Was this who they had become? Time-displaced meddlers propping up a broken institution, hurting the people who were just fighting for the right to exist. Through the dust cloud that had been kicked up by the conflict came the marching of boots and the clattering of weapons. It was the pillars of Elima. "Finally," Kellen said, approaching the way. "If we hurry, we can..." The punch across the jaw came quickly, and Kellen saw black before her head hit the ground. Hallgrim marched into the shift sands after the grueling climb down the mountain where he had kicked Chunder off to find a batch of lizard men gathering around. They stood on their hind legs, and Hallgrim recognised one of them as the sentient lizard Lord Chunder had used as his steed and called Esmeralda. As he approached, the lizard's voices became clearer. And then I said to her, "Damn, baby, you're going to make my cloacus twitch, or make me splooge over a clutch of your eggs, whichever way we procreate in this universe where the author obviously doesn't want to get into this right now." One said. Another slapped his friend on the back and laughed. "Shit, lizard, what your hatchling mama say about that?" She said... He stopped, his tongue flicking the air. "Wait, man, you taste that?" A few of the others flicked out their tongues. "Yeah, tastes like metal and flesh and radiation." Esmeralda turned, his maw covered in blood and viscera dripping from his teeth. "It smells like man." Whoa. Meat is definitely not back on the menu, boys. Hallgrim approached with his hands held up. "You remember me, right? I was the one that slit Chunder's throat and threw him off a cliff. I come in peace. Actually, I come in a pretty sweet piece right now. That's kind of why I'm here."
Wow. Inappropriate dad humor.
"I need to save my girlfriend and my daughter. I need you to help me find Chunder." The lizards laughed as one, a throaty bark that echoed against the rocky valley walls. "Human in a can is an idiot. What do you need him for anyway, human? You hungry?" One of the lizards gestured to a pile of meat and bone that was once Chunder, his corpse a bloody mess that was most definitely not threatening. "I suppose that's not the least effective villain we've ever faced," Hallgrim muttered. "You'll get through this, Ash, you will." Callan squeezed her sister's hand. "Just breathe. Don't fucking tell me to breathe. I've been breathing as long as I've been alive. Show me magic trick how to stretch lady parts to opening size of bowling ball. That is helpful.
God, this is the worst.
Asher shouted through gritted teeth. Shelley stood holding some boiling water and towels. I've got to be honest, I'm being written by a man, so I'm unsure what these things are for.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
cleanliness?
I was thinking the same thing.
I think it's to wash the sheets out.
Cleanliness, sterilisation, everything I've seen about childbirth makes me think it's best to have them. Just hold her hand and let her know she'll be okay, Shelley, Kellen said. You've got 1 or 2 pushes left, Ash. Just got to push as hard as you can. Rich Masters sat at his laptop, pondering if he could juggle the humorous elements of the podcast with the sincerity and seriousness of childbirth without being a dick or inadvertently offensive to women. He looked out his window for a good 10 minutes, wondering what the play was here, the tightrope stretching out in front of him that threatened to turn into a snare.
I mean, you just said, like, P. Diddy's next protege.
Yeah,
I think you're good.
You've been snared
You're good.
already, buddy.
All
It's
right.
over.
You're fine, man. You're
all right.
good.
Then a baby...
Only the penitent man shall pass, am I right?
Then a baby cried. Thank fuck for that, sighed Rich. She's so beautiful, Shelley whispered as Kellen wrapped the baby in a towel and then passed her to Ash. Asher had never seen anything so wonderful, and she had once watched Hallgrim sneeze so hard he had kneed himself in the face. Oh man,
Jesus.
That was funny. But this girl, she put that moment to pasture. Her 10 little fingers and 10 little toes were so perfect, so symmetrical. She had never felt so happy, but also scared and so exhausted she thought she might die. Her eyes were heavy and she passed the baby to Kellen. Go to your aunt. She'll love you almost as much as I do. As Kellen took the baby, Asher fell almost straight to sleep, wary as she was. With a gesture of her head to Shelley, Kellen stood and walked away from the resting Asher. Shelley followed and had walked about 10 paces when she looked down, noticing she was still holding the water. What a stupid idiot. I brought the water... She stopped. She started before she dropped the bowl to the ground, spilling water over the dry sands. Kellen's knife was quick, and Shelley's hand went to her throat, but she couldn't stop the blood from pouring out, and within seconds she had collapsed on the floor, unable to speak, but staring with such intense contempt out of wide, globe-like eyes. Kellen turned away. A purple portal opened in front of her. Come on, little Kellen, she whispered to the baby as she walked through. Time for you to earn your birthright. Now again. Shut up, you know what I mean.
What the fuck are you writing?
This is, like, insane.
Ash, Kellen whispered, the sight of her sister's face a balm for her soul. She got up and opened her arms to embrace her sister. Ash backhanded Kellen across the room with more force than any of the reap could have mustered, and she landed in a heap in the corner of the room. Where is my baby, Kellen? Asher hissed through gritted teeth. Rafe removed his war helm to reveal himself as Hallgrim, but all the joy she would have felt at that revelation was instantly consumed in the look he gave her. Why did you take her? And why did you kill Shelley? She was a kid, Kells. Tell me this is some sort of mistake. Tell me there's a reason. I don't know what you're talking about, Kellen said, her gaze flicking between the pair who looked back with such hatred. I haven't seen you since the day we were split. That was a decade ago. Lies, Asher yelled, drawing back a fist, but Hallgrim was quick to catch it. Ash, look at her. Really look. She's younger than the Kellen we saw. Much younger looking. She hasn't got the scars, Hallgrim gestured to Kellen. So who took our baby, Asher wept. And what did they want her for? Raph stepped through the portal, baby in arm, into the Amray's residence where she once served as attendant to her adoptive mother and father. The two Greywoods, now in their original forms of Dr. James Kendall and Dr. Big Sue Campbell, looked up at the advancing Raph from their position at the desk, eyeing the bundle in her arms with glee. You got her, Big Sue smiled. Well done, Raph. Raph put the baby down on the desk and backed away. It was easy, like plucking a stone from a river. Now, do what you promised and unlock her full potential. I want you to make it so she isn't so wayward with her rifts, like I am, like young Helen is. Sue waved a dismissive hand. Of course. We can pump her so full of chronal energy she could remake the timelines in our image. Will all of us have exactly what we want, all we could ever desire. James had pulled a...
Hugs from our dad.
Not that far. She can't do that.
That's too powerful.
Josh, cry for help, Henderson. It's it again.
James had pulled up a holographic display of the child's brain and saved some data to a drive that was plugged into it because USBs are still a thing for the purpose of this story. It's simple, really. We've been working on it for 400 years. All we need to do is detailed in this drive. A sound like a tomato popping was heard, and Big Sue turned to find what was left of James Kendall's destroyed face on the end of Doomcock. As she faced Raph, the pillar pulled her rifle callus from her back and shot Sue clean through the stomach. The woman fell to the floor, killed instantly. Raph unplugged the drive and stashed it in a bag along with her helm. She picked up the baby and walked out of the residence and into the city, amongst the thousands of people there. An old woman stopped her to coo over the baby, then looked up at Raph. "She's got your eyes, my dear," she beamed. "Lady, you got no idea," Raph said, and vanished into the crowd. The end.
Oh my god! It's like I watched Predestination and Primer all at once.
I need a
Holy
map,
fucking shit.
I think. I need a time map.
So that's her. That's her.
Yeah, the baby is her.
The baby is her.
Yeah. And she's also the other one.
The Kellen that is with who has the baby now is Raph from the start of the story.
From the start, yes.
She's been...
Yes.
I mean, she's the one who's been sending them to different places. But why has she been doing that?
Because she's a fucked up weirdo who steals babies.
Yeah.
Kills kids.
Stealing babies and killing kids is pretty fucking low down, I think. I'm going to go out on
really deserve it.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say infanticide is bad.
Yeah, it's pretty
Unless
bad.
there's like a group of them and they're all talking about like
Minecraft
or some fucking shit. Or Jimmy Bing Bong and how we don't know who Jimmy Bing Bong is.
Who wants to know?
Jimmy Bing Bong?
Yeah, he goes to school with them, don't you know?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jimmy Bing
I
Bong.
remember Jimmy Bing Bong now.
Of the Massachusetts Bing Bongs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how we know each other in America, too.
Yeah,
by the family and location.
The Pennsylvania Hendersons. Ah, excellent.
Yeah.
Not a lot of hugging going on in that household.
I'll give you a hug, Josh. The thing that really caught me off guard in that story was everything you said and did.
Oh, cool.
Exactly. Like, I was like, oh man, like I kind of know what's gonna happen, I think, but then I was like, nah, I don't know. And then he now everyone's dead. He's just murdering people like left and fucking right.
Yeah,
Old Rich is back.
Yeah, we thought Rich had reformed, but it turned out he was just in hiding.
No.
Y'all gonna fuck around with me and turn me into the old me. That's what happened.
I did say I hadn't killed a lot of people for a while.
Killed 3 of them this episode at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were like, y'all got any more of them character deaths?
Just scratching, fiending at his neck the whole time.
God damn, dude.
Yeah.
I fucking don't know how all this is gonna be ironed out.
I will say,
I have no idea.
I had it in my head already that the baby was Kellen. I'm not sure where I got that from, but I had it in my head already.
I think Kiriko guessed as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this, like, for whatever reason, like this episode, I was like, oh, I think I know that's yeah. But I didn't. Before that, I didn't.
That just means that there were enough hints left throughout the story to put you in that direction.
Yeah,
which is good storytelling.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't need to be like shocked, but
I was
this
shocked
is pretty
by plenty
shocking.
in that episode.
Yeah, Kellen killing a kid is pretty bad, I guess.
Yeah, well,
guess.
again,
And-
talking about Jimmy Bing Bong.
And like the Asher and Hallgrim that were a bit ahead of the ones that were talked about in the desert are now 2 of the pillars of Alima. 2 of the pillars of Alima that have always been missing from the story.
I didn't even notice that they'd been missing from
Yeah.
the story, and you introduced them that way. You made a point every time near the beginning when you were talking about the pillars. You made a specific point that 2 of them were missing the entire time.
I did.
Damn, it's almost like Rich is a writer who's good at what he does.
I did.
Dude.
Genuinely, I didn't know who both of those pillars were going to be, but I wanted 2 of the pillars to be part of the crew.
Of the crew, yeah.
But I didn't know which ones. But then I thought about it and I was like, well, they've got to be the only humans.
Oryx, yeah.
Sorry,
it couldn't
be Oryx.
Yeah.
It could have been Hume because he's
It could have been Hume because he's a
stand-up
real human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a real stand-up human being.
He's a real life human.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. Well,
Hume's just like the guy
that's
from
great.
Drive. He's a real human being.
Dude, that movie rules.
That is a good movie.
it is good. Right then.
I'm impressed, Rich.
Yeah,
thanks.
I'm just speechless. I don't know what to say. I mean, just unzip and I'll just suck your dick off about it, because that's the only thing I got. Is that what your zipper sounds like?
can't do-
What, even a space zipper?
Yeah.
Zerp?
Right, let me just... Right, I suppose then, let's close the cover on today's story. Whoa, that's a big book.
Boom.
Okay, bear with me. Right, so, the prompts... We've got... Go on, Josh, what did you say?
I was gonna say, good thing I made that audible joke to give you time there, and it didn't
Didn't I was trying
amount to much.
I was loading up the prompts. Right, okay, we'll bring out the all-C prompt ball, and the first prompt is Dracula. Oh my god!
Oh no!
Bonesmas has come early!
Oh,
By Stefan.
nice.
I've been
And-
forced.
And Clowns by Taylor Dirks and Spivsy. It's been suggested
Whatever
twice.
happened to clowns?
Clowns and Dracula. Yeah, alright, fine.
Damn.
Right, so...
I gotta figure out some way to put Dracula in a different story, so I'm not forced to do a Frankenstein. I feel like I've been forced.
The Dracula.
it doesn't have to
any
be the Dracula.
This has to be a Dracula.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any and all Draculae.
I will say it's not going to be a Frankenstein next time because I'm not ready for that part of the story where Dracula's involved yet. Like,
Nobody is.
Fair enough.
none of you are going to be ready for it when it happens either, but
I mean, we haven't heard a Candle Cousin story for a while.
they're going to have to defeat Dracula.
It's the owner of the local video shop who's pretending to be Dracula.
That's like in Sabrina when the Gata from Battlestar is
Yep.
he pretends to be a werewolf and he actually is a werewolf.
Yep. That's a
That's a good
episode.
joke. That's a good show.
The Candle Cousins only deal with specters, spooks, and the unliving spirits.
Well, in this economy, Candle Cousins, you're gonna need to diversify. Dracula, zombies,
Clowns.
Dracula, zombies, clowns.
They live in 2004 or whatever I fucking said it.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
economy is not quite where it's at now.
No.
No, but Iraq.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you heard Dracula and Clowns and you were like, well, how are the Storylords boys going to get out of this one? Then you can help us get out of this one by submitting new prompts. So if you head over to patreon.com/storylords, for as little as $5 a month, you can suggest prompts, join the Discord, and be our bestest, westest friends forever. For as little as $10 a month, you get all that, plus access to all the sidecasts we do, redesigned by committee and Afterlords. We have a lot of fun recording those. And then for $25 a month, you can get access to a PDF version of the book when it comes out and a creator credit in the book. Also, if you go
you can
to
also
the...
force Josh to write that thing
Yeah.
he said he wasn't going to write.
Yeah, bring Boris
Oh, what
back.
was I not gonna write?
BBB,
Oh, Boris, right.
bring Boris back. Let's get...
If only I had a prompt that would allow for that. You guys know of any prompts that I could do that?
If you're the sort of person like King of Patrons, Henry Roselar, who gives us $69 a month.
My liege.
Wait, you're the king. You're not even a lord anymore. You're a king.
Yeah.
So, if you want to find anything else about the Storylords or look at the art that I do for the podcast, you can head over to storylords.card.co with 2 R's or storylords.page. You can leave us a review at wherever...
And we got a new one.
Oh, man! Leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcast, and it really helps us. It does, on average, a review gets us 2 new patrons. I've done the math on it, so or maths as it's called over here.
Yeah, why do you guys put the S?
There are multiple of them.
Yeah.
Algebra, probably some other one. Calculus.
See, there you go. Shapes.
That's
geometry, all right. Our new review is from Ian Squires, which is fun.
Ooh.
Sick name.
It's entitled "Your New Favorite Podcast." Woohoo! Hear ye, hear ye. The Storylords have arrived to tell us peasants' stories and also do very respectful things to our mothers. Each episode, the Lords take 2 prompts to write 3 fantastic stories and gives us infinite laughs. These stories are written so well they should win an award, like a Pulitzer Prize. Now, as peasants, we have to pay our story tax to the Storylords. The story tax is free, but if you want to support the show and to move up the caste system and become a story squire, then go to patreon.com/storylords. Thank you for the great stories and laughs, because we all need to laugh more these days. 5 stars.
Yeah, thank you, Ian.
Thanks, Ian. That's a great one.
Excellent review. Thank you so much.
The caste system.
Ian's right. If you do want to join the caste system and work your way a little bit up to owning a bit of land, then you need to be as cool as these people. Henry Roselar, King of Patrons, Anthony
Your
Stoker.
Majesty.
Anthony Stoker. You made me laugh. I nearly died.
We're killing him.
Federico Rodriguez, Heath Robinson, Jonathan Anderson, Pez King, Sarah Kemp, Sean Tabor, Squid Ludwig, Stephen, and Werewolf Bar Mitzvah. And I'm going to, as promised, point out someone who has been a patron for a really long time.
He's prepared for this, you can tell.
Today's special mention is David Hesseltine, who has been a patron for almost since we started, and yeah, he's an uber mensch.
Thanks, David H.
Salute.
Right, so
My squire.
We appreciate the hell out of you for staying with
do.
us for so long.
we've got some day one patrons that are still with us, and I think that's
amazing.
So
They stuck through us through the rebrand and everything.
yeah,
We don't talk about that.
Shit. I mean,
the days before pros. If you heard the music in this episode and you thought, oh my god, that music's so good, it's going to get all the rats out of my city and then he's going to come back and steal all the kids, then...
that's what that story's about.
Don't advertise Greg like that. What are you doing?
then,
Greg could steal all of my kids being my jizz
Yep.
from my dick.
then you can head over to vidazen.card.co. I'm just rushing right straight past that. And you can find out all about Greg's tour dates, Santosha dates, all new releases that he's got coming out. He's got links to his music on Spotify, I think. And, you know, he's the first inductee into the Hall of Fame of guests. So, yeah, he'll be back soon. That is it from me. I think I've done everything. Tick, 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 done. Do we have anything else we want to...
Was that a The Hive song you just quoted?
Tick, tick,
No.
tick, done.
Is there anything else we want to talk about and pimp out today?
The Hives Rule. Check them out.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
They have a new album coming out, actually.
Really?
Yeah, it's got a really fucking good song on it that I wish I remembered the name of, but I've been playing the hell out of recently.
I gotta check it out.
It's got... Shit, I'll just look it up. You can pimp whatever you want while I pimp a band that makes millions of dollars a year.
If you want to help my buddy Jeff and
Who?
and commission some art from him, you can head over to jeffpennington.art. He does amazing work. If you've seen the M-Class podcast title cards, he does those in that style, in Lower Deck style, which won't mean anything to Star Trek fans. But yeah, check him out. He's got slots on his commission list, I assume. Otherwise, he wouldn't say this. So he's not saying it. I'm saying it.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Give him
Shut up,
artwork, money for
volunteer.
I
artwork.
don't know which Jeff is talking right now. Which Jeff is talking right now?
It's American Jeff's turn.
American Jeff.
No, I of course would appreciate any work that could come in. I would really love to do some comic covers. If you are in any position to get me hired for such a thing, please do that.
What are you willing to do?
We'll talk about it. The name of the Hive song is Bogus Operandi.
Oh, I've heard that. It's really good.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. That's cool.
It's a good ass song.
It is good.
Hey, I'm gonna listen to it on the thing later. Boom.
You can add it to your Spotify and listen to it until it will be one of those songs on Spotify that you skip.
Yes,
Yeah.
like so every
Like
song
every
that
other
I
song.
have, yeah.
Like 90% of my playlist right now.
You know, I have like 13,000 songs on my Spotify, and I still have nothing to listen to.
Yep. I can believe
Like-
it.
Crazy.
some real first world problems, but they affect us.
is hard.
Josh, where can people find your pictures of your action figures that you mod and put into poses? And I'm not making it sound cool, dude, but it
Cool
is cool.
scenarios.
Yes.
Yeah, go to Instagram. I'm at Field1983, and I think I'm that on what's that? Kara app.
Yeah, Kara.
Yeah, Kara. Sorry, I don't get too Philly for you guys.
Kara.
Yeah, Mario Brothers.
bone-
Look, I'm
Mess.
at Jeff on that shit, by the way.
I don't
Yeah.
even know. I think I'm at Field1983 there. I don't know. Do that.
Yeah. And then you can follow M-Class Podcast, and please go and give Toonhounds a listen to, because it is hilariously funny. Spivsy and I did a, what did we call it? It's not a choose your, it's a pick a fate book. We did
it's a Pick a
Thundercats.
Path.
Pick a Path book. And we
That's
did...
what we kept calling them for legal
Pick a
reasons.
path, yeah.
we did a Thundercats one where we had to fight a ghost, and whatever we did, we fought the ghost and won, but didn't get the best ending. So I don't know how
What's
that. I don't know.
The
I don't
best
know.
ending is you fought a ghost and you
Yep.
won. That's the
Yep.
best ending.
I
Does
don't
like
know
Lion-O get his dick wet if you...
how.
Yeah.
We replaced Lion-O. We replaced Lion-O with a new character called Sphinxy, who's a Sphinx cat, a bald Sphinx cat who wears a toupee because he's worried about looking.
This feels a little similar to our original character, Ensign Jimmy.
Yeah, Ensign Jimmy.
Ensign
yeah.
Ricky.
Ricky.
Does
that's
Ricky
what it
wear a
is.
toupee?
In my head, he kind of has like a Kirk-esque toupee going.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
I think the legal ramifications are probably fairly low since I didn't remember his name. So
Yeah. Ensign
but,
Jimmy.
yeah, next episode we're doing Thundercats, the two most modern reboots that are probably wildly different in quality, like all Toonhounds picks. So, next week, next episode, Dracula, clowns. Who will win? Probably Dracula.
The fans.
The fans will win. So we'll see you in 2 weeks with 3 fresh stories and infinite laughs. Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye, suckers.